I'm from the University of Chicago Laboratory School, and today I'm going to be talking to you about our partnership with the University of Chicago Charter School. This is a beautiful view of our campus. This is my favorite picture. I use it in literally every single presentation that I do. So we're going to start with a little bit about the lab school. I just put a bunch of pictures up here of our program. We're an N3 through 12 school. We have 5 divisions: nursery, kindergarten, and primary school, which is just 1st and 2nd grade, and they have their own early childhood education center that we just built, brand new, opened in October of 2014. We have a middle school, lower school, middle school, and a high school. So the work that I do in building partnerships actually spans that entire N through 12 scope. So a lot of the work is focused on our high school, and that's what the work I'm going to talk about today. But we are focused on building some programs for our younger students to really get them engaged in the community. We have about 1,800 students, but we're growing to accommodate more of our community partners, and because we're affiliated with the University of Chicago, which is also growing, we need to make more seats for our university partners. We're about 60% university faculty or staff. Someone asked a little bit earlier, our faculty and staff get a tuition remission. So it's a great benefit to recruit faculty, premier faculty to our university, and it's a great benefit for the surrounding community. Because we're growing, we can recruit great faculty and also keep it a neighborhood school. So this is our brand new building. I put that in there on purpose. This is the Gordon Parks Arts Hall, named after the famous Gordon Parks. He's an African-American photographer, journalist, photojournalist, and playwright, historian. He's amazing. This was a gift from George Lucas and Melody Hobson. It just opened this year. It is a one-of-a-kind, first-class arts building. The entire building, all 3 floors, are dedicated solely to the arts. And it's pretty fantastic. If you guys are ever in Chicago, I invite you to come and check out the facility. As you can imagine, we're a part of the University of Chicago, so we've been really focused on math and science and those opportunities, but this building gives us the ability to focus on performing arts and music, and it's a really special place, and it's allowing some of our students to explore those capabilities where they wouldn't have had that opportunity before. And that's actually a focus of some of the programming that we're doing in the community, so I'll touch on that building a little bit later. So today I was supposed to be joined by my colleague at the charter school. Unfortunately, due to some other commitments, he wasn't able to make it, but I can speak a little bit to the University of Chicago Charter School. Not sure if you guys knew this, but the University of Chicago has an independent school and a charter schools. So collectively, we have about 4,000 kids in nursery through high school. At the charter school, they just opened, not just, but compared to 120 years that Lab just celebrated, they just opened in 1998 under the Urban Education Institute. So the Urban Education Institute is focused on collecting data and then building tools to support public education and curriculum and teacher training and things of that nature. So the charter schools are actually more of a laboratory school than we are, because they have the Urban Education Institute to provide data and to provide tools and surveys, and they actually implement it in their classrooms. They have a fantastic reading program, literacy program that starts from 5th grade, and they really groom their children to not only go to college, but to persist in college. And I'm happy to report that for the last 4 years, they've had a 100% college acceptance rate, which is phenomenal in an urban setting, particularly on the south side of Chicago, like we're located. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Here you see the founding director. His name is Shane Evans. He started as a teacher, and now he's the, I think, CEO and some other awesome title, but he's really influential, and that's just an example of how the teachers are groomed and grown in the school to become leaders. All right, so a little bit about the partnership. I'm gonna move up here a little bit. I hope you guys can see this. So in 2009, the Urban Education Institute director came to Lab and really just let our board know that the organization existed, that there were training teachers, that they were trying to positively impact the South Side community. If you know anything about Chicago, which I mean, we're on the national news for, things that I wish we weren't, but it's a pretty dire situation, especially on the South Side where we're housed. So this entire area, so this is the university here, and everything south of the Midway, this is south, is really undeveloped, underdeveloped, underserved. The economic situation is pretty bleak down there. And unfortunately, this is where our charter school is housed. And I put this really cool diagram here that shows you that we're only 0.8 miles from the charter school. So this is Lab Vista here, and this is the charter school down here. So Tim came to our school and he said, we need resources. We need to learn. We need to share information. And our board, they were like, absolutely. Why wouldn't we? We're not only a part of the University of Chicago community, we're a part of the South Side community, and we can only better our neighborhood and ourselves by sharing resources and information. So our partnership started pretty informally. We would have one-off teacher exchanges, so teachers would come and learn the Harkness method from lab schools, and actually saw it in practice at the charter school in an English classroom, which I thought was pretty cool. And we would do things like a day with the deans, and that is our charter school students and lab school students would meet with faculty and deans from some of the best schools in the country, and also some mid-range schools, to practice interviewing, to understand financial aid, and it kind of opened up some of those doors. Last year we did a really intensive study of all of our partnerships and realized that while these partnerships existed, they weren't really being sustained because there was no administrative support, there was no money, frankly, behind it, and there was interest on both sides of the table, but there was no one around to really guide this partnership. So Tim Knowles, the director of UEI, and my boss, Robin Appleby, the director of the charter school, got together and said, how can we fix it? And obviously money. And last summer, we were granted an amazing gift of $1 million solely to focus on building this partnership. And Robin asked that myself and my counterpart, Todd Barnett, lead this really interesting and frankly brand new opportunity to engage not only the community, but our faculty, our students, and the South Side, which we traditionally have never really looked at. So that's where the lab, UCCS stands for University of Chicago Charter School Partnership, was born. So we've only been at this work for about 6 months. So if you're expecting and this is how you do it, we're still learning. So I hope that you guys have some feedback from me. So just going to tell you a little bit about what we've done over the last 6 or so months. So protect and invest, that is one of the hallmarks of the University of Chicago missions. We like to not only protect things that make us unique and make it the University of Chicago way, but we're keenly aware that we live in a neighborhood that needs a ton of investment, not only physically, economic growth, but also in the people that are still hanging around there. Again, a lot of the neighborhood that's south of us has abandoned buildings, high crime, but again, it's only a mile away from where our students live and play. And our university has taken upon themselves to open the Urban Education Institute. We recently got a gift to open the Urban Labs, which studies poverty, crime, health in urban settings. So hopefully they're going to be able to collect a lot of data that can influence policy and education, not only for us in Chicago, but for other cities like Cleveland and New York, Mumbai, places like that. So this is a hallmark of what we do at the university, and fortunately I have the opportunity to trickle down to our youngest learners. So again, we're just initiating collaboration this year. Governance and school leadership. Like I said, people were doing their own small collaborations and small projects, but there was really no school leadership. There was no champion to say that this is important to us as a school community. And it really took our brand new director in her very first year. She took one look at the landscape and said, this is an opportunity for us, not just for the school, but it can be a synergistic relationship, because our students are privileged. You know, they have access to the University of Chicago faculty, teachers, their parents are professors. And so they need a little bit of real world education. Excuse me. So when Robin, the moment she got on the ground, she started to recognize that there was a real opportunity here. And she and the director of the charter school got together, tried to figure out where some synergies were, but really left it up to us to kind of figure it out as faculty and administrators and people that are really on the ground. But she championed for that. And that was the key piece to help move this partnership forward, because without that, again, we would have had disparate programs, but nothing really focused. So our board of directors said, full steam ahead, let's try to raise funds. Our director said, let's put people in the mission. That's where I come in, and see what we can create. And from that, so I started in this project last summer, and we started really with a strategic approach to partnership, and like, what does that really mean? What does it mean to not only be collaborative, but to be a partner to to a community that not only have we been a part of for so long, but frankly have not really been in a reciprocal relationship with. So that took a lot of digging and unpacking. I spent the entire fall quarter on the ground. The charter school has 4 campuses and 5 schools, if that makes any sense to you guys. So if I go back, this dock here is only one of their 4 campuses. They actually have 3 other schools, physical schools, located a little bit north of the university and a little bit west of the university, but they're all part of this network of schools, teachers, and learners. So I spent a lot of time getting to know the faculty, getting to know the students, and what I realized is that we have so much in common. We are hungry for learning, and we're hungry for change. These students, I mean, they take every opportunity they can after school, during the summer, and unfortunately, there are not a lot of opportunities. And that's where we figured that the lab school could help bridge some of those gaps. So we created a partnership advisory committee. It's comprised of faculty and staff from both institutions. And we got this committee together to really help us brainstorm. Because it was comprised of faculty, we asked them, what looks good to you? What do you want to see in an ideal world? We have $1 million, let's spend it. Like, how can we do that? And 2 of the best projects that came out of that, which I'm going to spend the majority of my time talking about, are the exploratory seed grants, which is for faculty and staff from both schools. They were allowed to, or invited to, apply for money to fund an innovative, interesting project that would pair our students or faculty and parents with students, faculty, and parents from the charter school. And then a joint internship program, which I'm so proud of, because Lab has always had, not always, I would say for the past like 15 years we've had an internship program, but again, focused on science and math, and there's nothing wrong with science and math, but I have a soft spot for the community. I'm from Chicago, I'm from the South Side, and it was for opportunities like this that I have come to the position that I am now, and I'm drawn to give back, and I've had those opportunities when I was 15 and 16 years old, so why can't we create them for our students? But we just did, so I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Alright, the exploratory seed grants. So this idea was really to get our faculty engaged in the partnership. So we had, I'm a huge party person, so I love to plan receptions and mixers. If there is food and drinks, I feel like adults will be happy and they can start the conversation. So if you're ever in Chicago, I'm your girl. Like, we're probably having something at Lab in that building that I was talking about. So we have this brand new space, and it's pretty unprogrammed right now. So we're trying to figure out how to use it as a community space, not just lab space, not just university space, but how can we open it up to the broader community? Because it's not only gorgeous, but it was really expensive, so we need to like make sure it's filled and like it looks good in pictures. And also warm, that's important for a place like Lab. So we started with the exploratory seed grant launch party, is what I like to call it. So we got all of the adults in both of our communities together to talk about the grants, to talk about the schools, and really try to start to share information. And we launched this opportunity to get money to do that. So it can include anything from programmatic funding to buy books, and really, it could really include anything. We had a set budget, obviously, on the Partnership Advisory Committee side, but we opened the opportunity to everybody, and we received 12 submissions. One person withdrew, which is a lot, because we gave them a month to get it together, because we were hungry for something to fund. And 12 submissions, and they asked for $100,000 total, which is a lot of money. And we didn't even realize that there was that much idea space out there. Fortunately, we were able to grant 8 of those applications, and I'll talk about each of those in a little bit more detail. But again, these are the criteria that the exploratory seed grants had to follow. It was a normal grant submission process run by the Partnership Advisory Committee. People submitted their application, they had to get their principals to sign off, and then as a group, we went through all the applications, we scored them, like we were really good and diligent, and then talked about funding. Some of the applications asked for like $50,000, some asked for $700. So the $700 one, we were like, yes, go for it, do your thing. But you know, it was a difficult process, but we were encouraged by it, because we were able to support our teachers on both sides of the table. And one of the happy conclusions of it is the 3rd grade project. So, like I was saying, we received 12 applications, and the 3rd grade project is like my pet right now. At the mixer, the 3rd grade teachers, literally all of the 3rd grade teachers from lab and their charter schools got together. They found one another, because we put signs. They found one another, and they said, what can we do in our classroom to help build these bridges? And the thought was, make them pen pals. I mean, it's only, you guys are down the street, everyone has pens, everyone can write, let's start to build a relationship that way. But then they got creative and they dug deeper, and they started, they proposed in the grant to have playdates. And they needed funding for transportation, they needed funding for food, they needed just the support from us to make this really idyllic scene come true. And just recently, they had a play date at the school, and if you can imagine, the non-uniformed faces are the lab school kids, and the uniformed faces are the charter school kids. So one thing that all the charter school kids have in common is that they're all brown. And that's something that was not lost on our 3rd grade team or in our 3rd grade teachers. But because of the freedom and flexibility that they had, they were able to explore how to have those conversations with the students. And they were able to use our counseling team and our diversity coordinator to really help build that conversation into an age-appropriate experience. And this came from a 2-hour mixer. And so this is definitely one of my favorite projects. That's the 3rd grade too. You stole my heart. But literally the entire 3rd grade. And this started in January. They've already had a play date, and they're going to continue pen paling this year. They're going to have another play date in the spring, and then a big, gigantic picnic on the Midway in not summer, but the end of the school year. And I'm really looking forward to that. But the lessons that the teachers and students have learned almost immediately is that we're not so different. And I may not be able to pronounce your name, but we both like soccer, and we both like television, and this is a really appropriate age to start these conversations. Because of what we're doing in the high school, they can start here, and they won't be so afraid to do some of the bigger and more challenging experiences that we're building in the later years. Other examples of projects that we received was a playmaking class. So we're going to be able to offer that at the end, in fall of next school year. It's playmaking across the Midway, because we love the Midway. It's like it's our park. In that proposal, we're going to get our middle school students together and write a play. They're going to write their own play. They're going to tell their own story. We not only think it's going to be cathartic for the students, but it's also going to be an experiential learning opportunity, because they have such different and varying experiences. I'm really curious to see what they're going to come out with at the end. The project was proposed by 2 theater teachers, one at the lab school and one at the charter school. And they wrote this 11-week curriculum that's able to be supported through our after-school program. We're able to pay the teachers through after-school funds, which is really important. You have to pay your teachers for their work. And so we're figuring that piece out a little bit more. It's a little complicated, but it's a really exciting project. Other projects include a trip to Ecuador, a service learning trip. So what I didn't realize is that the students at the charter school, they travel all the time. Didn't realize that. Very excited. And our students obviously travel, but not really with a service purpose. And this is the only opportunity that we have now to offer a service learning experience led by my colleague Hannah Evans, who's our service learning coordinator. And this year, we're taking 13 students, or 14, I forget, 13 or 14 students down to Ecuador to really have hands-on experiences in service. And it's starting in our middle school program, even though we don't have a service requirement until high school. So it's an awesome opportunity. Finally, we have a history class. So it's a feminist history class that we're offering to our high schoolers, boys and girls. No, there's no sex requirement. Being taught by one of our really seasoned history teachers. She's been offering this class for about 5 years now, just kind of her own fruition. And when she found out there's an opportunity to extend the learning to a broader community, she jumped on it. And she's like, okay, if I don't have to make another chili, this will be great. And you can pay for the food and get the kids in the space and have this experience together. So the Exploratory Sea Grants is an awesome way, if you're looking for ways to engage your faculty to get their ideas off of the ground, offer them some money and carte blanche to kind of be creative. And you can temper it, and it's been very intensive counseling the teachers about what's possible and what isn't, in this first iteration. But really, as I said, we were able to fund almost all of the ideas because they were amazing, and the teachers felt empowered to keep going. So, and the next opportunity that we've cultivated over the last 6 months is this internship for civic engagement. So, like I said, Lab, as you know, or hopefully you know, it's a weird prep school. We focus on science, math, getting kids into college. The charter school does the exact same thing. They have their nurture and their college-going culture. They have 100% college acceptance, like in an inner-city school. But they want, and we do too, we want to allow our students to get into the best schools, the better schools. U of I is fantastic, but Yale is awesome. You know, there's this gamut of opportunities that our kids don't know about yet. And internships and learning from one another is definitely the way to go in our opinion. So we have an internship program that is called Summer Link. It only accepts about 40 kids a year, and that is, I did the math last year, that's only about a third of the express need for internship experiences. Most of it is just for the experience, but some of it is for money. Some kids need that summer work to make their lives work. You know, if there's no work over the summer, or if there's nothing to do, then I don't hand you to, what is it, the Devil's Playground, something like that. And that actually resonates even more at the charter school because our students are coming from a variety of backgrounds, and in the summer months when they don't have a destination, things can get very hairy. They're inner city kids, there's no structure, and they're hungry for something to do, anything to do. So we created the Internship for Civic Engagement to really capitalize on an area of opportunity. So like I said, we have the Summer Link program that is really focused on science and math. We put students in the Computation Institute, I think a student went to Groupon and Morningstar. These are all great opportunities, but they're kind of one track if you think about it. There's no real wiggle room there. It's like, I'm a business person, I'm a math person, but what about the kid that's really good at art? Or what about the kid that is interested in community building? What about the student that wants to be the next political savvy person, the next Barack Obama is how I described it, to the kids. So we partner with the Office of Civic Engagement at the university because they're our partner, and I happen to sit on the committee of which the Vice President for Civic Engagement is the chair. So I was like, hey, can we partner with you guys and develop a really cool program? Don't worry about paying for it. I have $1 million. Don't worry about it. So Jared Douglas offered us the opportunity to partner with the Community Programs Accelerator. It's a brand new accelerator. It's like an incubator for nonprofits, if you can imagine what that looks like. So they take 150 nonprofit organizations that are focused solely on the South Side, solely on economic development, community programs, health and wellness, summer programs for kids that don't have those opportunities. That's the sole focus of the Community Programs Accelerator. And we're able to offer 14 to 18, we're gonna see how much my graduate student costs, internships for this summer. So applications are open. I just celebrated this morning because my deadline is Monday and I've already gotten 2 applications, completed applications. We're going to take equal numbers of students from the charter and the lab school and pair them. We're going to pair them in groups or pair in pairs and send them off into these internships. And it's a little bit of an experiment because we don't know how it's going to go. We're hoping that they're mature enough. We're hoping that they're resilient. We're hoping that they have the tenacity and perseverance to keep pushing forward in this opportunity. But just in case they don't, we've designed a boot camp for them. It's going to be a 3-day experience before the internship starts. I'm sorry, I should back up. So it's a 5-week internship. It is paid, minimum wage, because again, for a lot of the students, we have to make it equitable. But for a lot of the charter school students, they need money over the summer so they can eat, so they can experience like movies and just do regular kid things that maybe their parents can't afford, unfortunately. So 5-week paid internship, and it has to be just 5 weeks because the charter school is on an extended schedule. While we have 3 or 3.5 months off, they only have like I don't know, maybe like 10 weeks, or no, that's too short, maybe 12. It's really abbreviated. So they start school about a month before even our teachers are back on the ground. So we're going to offer a 5-week internship. It's going to start with a 3-day boot camp, and this is going to be like life skills. How do you dress for an office? What's appropriate behavior? Is it okay to show up 10 minutes late? Probably not. How do you get to work and get to school? Because some of our students will be taking public transportation, whereas other students will be dropped off by mom and dad. So these are conversations that we need to have in an open forum. And we want to start those conversations before they get into the internship so we can set them up for as much success as possible. One thing I didn't mention here is that we're going to have an intern coordinator. I know I look like I can do it all, but I really can't. But I'm going to have an intern this summer that's going to help with this program and also all of the other aspects of the partnership that we want to launch over the summer to get ready for next year. So the intern coordinator is going to design Friday sessions. Every Friday, there's going to be a curriculum about some community-based project. They're going to learn about the organizations that they're supporting. They're going to learn about the Mid-South Side and what that means and why it's important that they are working there, why it's important for the health of the entire city of Chicago, because the Mid-South Side, while it's desolate now, it's totally going to boom in the next 10, 15 years, and we want our students to be on the ground, and we want them to have that experience in the grassroots. And the kids are hungry. They are hungry to know. They feel sheltered a little bit, some of our lab students, because they don't get to go south of the Midway, because they don't get to go north. They're either on campus or they're in Hyde Park, and they know that there's a bigger world out there because they can see Google Maps, but they've never been. So this is going to be a really great opportunity for them. And at the end of the 5 weeks, we're going to have a capstone project. We're going to ask the students to just report out what they learned. All of our community partners are going to be invited, their parents, and obviously their peers. So this is going to come online this summer. I'm very excited about it, and we're opening up to all of our current students. Graduating seniors, unfortunately, can't participate. We kind of want the data. We need them next year. But it's open to rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors, which our Summerlink internship currently is not open to freshmen. And I mean, I think the sooner we can get those kids into these experiences, the better. I wish I had 40 spots because I can give them all away right now. I have so much interest. But because of the service learning component in the next year, I'm really interested in getting our freshmen involved so we can start to change the service learning conversation from this is what I do for them to this is how we help each other. Very excited about that project. So measuring outcomes, and actually, like I said earlier, I don't really know how to measure it just yet. I have a degree in organizational behavior management, so I like relationship diagrams. So when I first started out, I really took stock of who knew who. Like, did you know this person before we started this project? And if you see a network diagram, it was pretty sparse. Lab was here in a really tight node. The charter schools are here in a really tight node. And as I'm starting to work more with the teachers and they're starting to work more with each other, you're starting to see these lines, these bridges. And they're actual bridges because information is getting crossed and information is getting passed along. Resources are getting passed and programs and experiences are becoming much more robust. Now, I don't know what that means just yet because we won't be measuring until the end of the school year. However, because we have the access to the university and we have access to survey tools, we're going to survey everyone who participates to probably they are sick, but it's really important data that we need to collect, quantitative and qualitative data about how the partnership could be improved, what were some learning experiences, what are some things that worked and didn't work. We're already, some of those things are starting to bubble up now, but we don't have any hard data as yet because we're still getting off the ground. However, in 6 short months, to have 2 pretty impressive programs, in my humble opinion, it speaks to the strength and to the need in the communities, both at Lab and at the charter school. Again, I wish Todd were here to tell you about how his programs and his faculty and students are being impacted, but just off the strength of the 3rd grade class, of the internship, and some of those other faculty exchanges, I can tell that it's going to be a really great experience for everyone involved. And in the next year, we're going to figure out how to do more, but not just do more, but do what's needed in the communities. So for Lab, we're going to have that's supposed to say faculty and student committee, but not juniors and seniors. So we're going to get a committee together of parents and faculty and students to give us feedback. And in the next year, in addition to the Partnership Advisory Committee, we're going to have a Student Advisory Committee because we're finding that our students have we knew this, they have a voice and they have needs that need to be met through this partnership. We have a cohort of Black students at the Lab schools that need to be more connected to the Black community. In the charter school, because it's 99% African American, what better place than to connect them in there? There are some synergies that can be exchanged. We don't really have a robust history or knowledge of HBCUs. The charter schools do. They don't really have a robust history of what it's like to apply to Yale and Harvard and MIT. We do. So there's a lot of information sharing that we hope to do in the next year, but based on what the students' needs are. The parents, they're so hungry. They're like, when is the next party and can we come? Yes, we're having one in the spring for interested parents because they want their students to be able to say, I know what's going on in the city. I'm not in this bubble. I'm intimately involved with the problems and with the solutions of the Mid-South Side is what we call it now, and Chicago. So I'm hopeful that when I present next year or in a couple of years, I can show you a relationship diagram that's dense and a bunch of bridges from our school to their school, and really report out some great